through storms, unshaken, unbowed. Through trials and verdicts, still standing proud. A titan in the tempest, against the raging crowd. He's got a vision for the future, gonna shout it aloud. Changing the wind, it's coming fast. A new foundation built to last. Cryptocurrency's the key. Make the big switch. Power to the people. Time to teach the rich. Legal battles can't hold him. He's moving on. With plans so bold, from dusk till dawn. He's
Welcome, everyone, to the Crazy Cryptonaut channel on quite the interesting day. And so with the thumbnail and title for today, it does feel very much like we are in a crypto house fire, trapped in the house. And so we're going to have a pretty relaxed one today. Not going to dig through and try to go through all of the different analysts' opinions on it. We're going to hit a few little articles, but otherwise, we're going to make certain to not take it all too seriously, because in the crypto world, downturns like this, well, they can be extremely upsetting, especially when you haven't been through a lot of them. And I know from all the ones that I've been through that essentially, once you're in a situation like this and the market has taken this much of a downturn, the best scenario possible, unless you're buying, is to stop watching. The die have already been cast, and there's really nothing that you can do from a strategic standpoint unless you're buying in a situation like this. So, going to answer questions today, going to see what everyone is thinking, what is everyone hearing about what's going on in the market, and then, of course, I do have a few articles, a few things to kind of point at that we're learning from what's going on right now, and a few signs that we should be keeping an eye on in the coming weeks, or however long this little downturn goes on, for some indications of when it might be subsiding. But first things first, and most important today, I'm going to say hellos and good morning. What's up, Mile High Trish? Happy Friday to you as well. I hope you're having a great one. Good morning, crazy Chester. Welcome, Mary Jones. Mile High Trish, sure been a crazy crypto week. So many naysayers coming out of the woodwork with the price drops. Trish, it never ends. It never ends. And you would honestly think that they would have learned better by now, because we've had this happen many times. And many naysayers, and it seems to always be the same people, they come out screaming Chicken Little, and that the world is ending and the sky is falling every time that the market goes down in any form or fashion. And it's never been true. Ultimately, they've never been right. And it will pass, as all the other ones have. I feel very confident in the fact that markets are cyclical. They repeat themselves. Everyone likes to say it's not repetition, it's rhyming, but it's darn near repetition when it comes to most markets, and especially with cryptocurrency. So I'm not all that worried. I'm just making certain to not look at the overall balance of the portfolio today, because that's not going to provide lots of feel goods. And it's just a lot easier to not worry about it. I'm not planning on selling any of my crypto anytime soon, or anywhere at the price targets that they've been at, even at the recent all-time highs. So what's there to worry about? Happy Friday, Musical Lady, coming in at number 5 on the like button. Thank you so much for that, Musical Lady, and hope you're having an awesome one. Yes, and you are correct. All markets are all down, not just crypto. It's a buying spree for us all. Absolutely. I have been looking at it that way as well, Musical Lady. I rotated some of my stable coins that I had sitting around, went ahead and bought more. In particular, of course, I should say, please remember that everything on this show is not in any form or fashion financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. The show is entirely for education and informational purposes, and that is it. Please consult with a financial professional before making major decisions, yada, yada, yada. But that's what I did, Musical Lady. I took stable coins and actually rotated into Chainlink this morning. And so that's where I rotated some of my stable coins in, was to Chainlink, because I was particularly happy with the price earlier. On XRP, I've already got such an amount and at such a price point. I didn't worry about stocking up any more of that one. I looked to fill in some of the gaps in terms of my portfolio. I've been slacking on certain ones, a little too hyper focused on XRP in terms of the things that I'm acquiring over the past year or so. And so tried to spend a little bit of time focusing on balancing things out this morning. And it's a tough one though, Musical Lady. It is a tough one. You don't know whether you're catching a falling knife or not. And so I did not go ahead and put everything I had sitting in stable coins in. I only made a purchase of about 40% of what I had sitting in the reserves. I'm still holding the rest, seeing if we don't get some even better deals in the coming days, because right now we have something going on that is kind of scary. And actually, let me go through and get done with the good mornings, and then we'll jump in and talk about that one, Musical Lady. There's one statistic currently going on that I think a lot of folks need to be paying attention to. Anakin, buy the dip, absolutely, and hodl, hold, absolutely. There is. It's market manipulation, in my opinion, as well, Anakin. Or in the very least, it is market manipulation that is massively exaggerating this price correction. The price correction, in all honesty, the market is over leveraged. And so the price correction is not entirely unexpected. The intensity of this price correction, I believe, is due to market manipulation, Anakin. So absolutely. I think it's a combo right now. All right. Hands to Heart Pottery. Welcome, Hands to Heart. Hi, Zester. I purchased XRP on Coinbase. Which walker would you suggest I move it to? And so I'm thinking autocorrect gotcha on that one, Hands to Heart. And so in terms of a hardware wallet, I highly recommend Ledger, Trezor. They're all great. Essentially, Ledger is the one that I use. I recommend it in terms of long-term storage for something like your XRP or essentially all of your cryptos. But Hands to Heart, also keep in mind, depending upon the amount of XRP that you've purchased, things of that nature, you don't need to be rushing to get it off of the exchange. You need to get it off the exchange. But something that I think regularly folks get into a big rush with it, and that actually can get a little bit dangerous because folks start ordering things quickly, trying to get stuff set up. You're on Coinbase. Coinbase should be safe. I would start looking towards getting a hardware wallet for that long-term storage, though, Hands to Heart. Absolutely. Ledger is my recommendation. If you use a computer, I use the Ledger Nano S Plus. But I do know from hearing from a lot of folks that the more advanced models, the Ledger X, the Ledger Flex, the Ledger Stack, a lot of people are getting a whole lot more enjoyment out of using those because they have much larger screens and they can connect to your phone. They're more expensive, but they have a lot more ease of use features on them. For me personally, I just get the Nano S Pluses. But I've been hearing from a lot of folks in the community that are really, really enjoying their Ledger X, Ledger Flex, Ledger Stacks. They've got some cool functionality. They're a little sci-fi. Hey there. Yep. See, Zester. What's up, Anakin? Oh, thank you. I tried to mess that one up and tried to start talking about purchases and stuff before I said it. Thank you. All right, though. Let's see if I'm missing anything. All right, on Tangum. Walter X, what are your thoughts on Tangum? Tangum's, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, in all honesty, Walter. Some people love them. Anakin loves Tangum. I've heard from some folks that they absolutely love their Tangum cards. They get a little pack of 3. They've got extras. They feel very, very comfortable with it. I've also heard other folks who have not even been able to get Tangum to work. And so I've heard a lot of back and forth on that when most of the reviews have been positive. But I do have questions in regards to some of the different issues I've heard. I've heard from a few folks that they have had issues with it. But Anakin, yeah, absolutely. Anakin, I like it because you don't have to hook it up to a computer. Absolutely. And with Ledger, you have to make a purchase of at least a Ledger X, so $150 hardware wallet to get the functionality of being able to connect directly to your phone easily through Bluetooth. I would say though, Mile High Trish has been the great experimenter on the connection cords, and she has found cords that allow her to plug in a Ledger Nano S Plus to her phone and use it. And so it is possible to do it with some of the cheaper models, but Tanga makes that a lot easier for a lot less in terms of the initial cost. But all right, though, I'm going to jump straight into talking about one thing that I think everyone should be paying attention to with everything going on right now. This is a somewhat scary statistic, but it's also a great indicator of where we're at in terms of the boom bust, the fear and greed cycle. This is a pretty good indicator of it. And so it's one that I wanted to talk about. I didn't want to dig too much into all of the different opinions going on in the market right now, because in all honesty, the fuse has been lit. The snowball has been pushed down the mountain. All of the analysts trying to predict all of these different things right now. We honestly just have to wait. We're going to see where this thing ends, probably in the coming days. And then we'll be able to reassess what really happened to the market at that point with a whole lot more accurate knowledge. So I'm not going to try to dig too crazy deep into the logic of the market right now. But needless to say, we are looking at $83,000 Bitcoin, XRP sitting at $1.91. We have seen Bitcoin over the past days manage to drop to, I believe it's looking at lowest point right at the $82,000 mark. And that was just this morning. And so we are still actively in a downturn on the market, or in a correction, a very, very bullish, a bearish trend, whatever term you choose to throw at it. We are still in the midst of it. XRP, actually, in certain ways, I'm fairly impressed with how well XRP is managing to hold, but still down 17.9% over the past 7 days. XRP managed to hit $1.88 earlier today, and so we are still seeing this, only a slight upturn. I, in all honesty, think that we're going to see another down leg unless we get some really, really exciting news today in regards to interest rate cuts or things coming in December that could turn this trend around. But otherwise, I think there's probably another down leg. Bitcoin could easily drop below 80,000. I think 75,000 is when there's actually going to start being genuine panic among many holders. We'll be somewhere around the $75,000 mark if we manage to drop below the $80,000 resistance level, because there's a lot of resistance at 80,000. There's a lot of buyers, and so it'll take a pretty massive sell off to break through 80. But if it breaks through, we're headed to 75. But here is the number and what I wanted to talk to everyone about. Bitcoin realized losses rise to FTX crash levels. Where is the bottom? With short-term holders driving Bitcoin sell-off, realized losses are hitting historic levels, leaving investors to wonder where the bottom might be. And so, before we dig any further into this article, what are realized losses? And so what a realized loss is in terms of an investment is when you actually executed the sale. And so in a situation like you know, maybe you might be in, maybe you have a crypto that you bought and it is currently down, but you have not sold. That would be an unrealized loss. that thing that you purchased is worth less than when you purchased it, but you have not sold it. You still hold that asset. And so that would be considered an unrealized loss. A realized loss is when you actually sell at that lower value. And so you bought Bitcoin at 100,000 and you have lost the guts. At 83, you sold for a $17,000 realized loss on that Bitcoin investment, assuming you bought exactly 100,000, using that as an example. That would be realized. And what that means is that this is a very interesting statistic because people are selling at a loss, not holding and saying, hey, I'm going to wait until the market recovers. It's an indication from a certain class of investors, which it seems to be short-term Bitcoin holders. So people that are new to being crypto holders don't seem to have the guts to hold through a downturn that's going on this fast and this aggressively. And that indicator is scary because it indicates there is an extreme degree of panic. If people are willing to sell at a loss, it's an extreme degree of panic. There is a loss of faith in that purchase. They have lost faith that the market is going to recover quickly. And so they're going ahead and they're taking their chips off the table, accepting their losses and going home to lick their wounds. Now, in that regard, that is a scary indication of the panic levels. But from a historical context, this is actually a fairly positive indicator for the market turning around quickly because these are primarily short-term investors and they are selling at losses. While that is a bummer for them, historically speaking, this has tended to be the point in time in terms of a downward cycle where we might have the ability to start bouncing back because we're going to run out of people that are willing to sell at a loss. And then we're going to be stuck, well, with the hodlers at that point. And so in that regard, this is an interesting one. We're going to be paying attention to it over the coming weeks. If this starts to ramp up and we start to see more and more and more sellers who are willing to realize losses by making the sale, that is going to be a negative indication about overall market sentiment. And so it is impressive, though, just how much we have seen. And so realized losses on Bitcoin have surged to levels not seen since the 2022 FTX collapse. The scale and speed of these losses reflect a meaningful washout of marginal demand as recent buyers unwind into the drawdown. This coming from Glassnode, a very well-reputed blockchain analytics firm. Glassnode's observations came minutes before Bitcoin slipped as low as 80,500 on Coinbase, marking a 36% decline from its all-time high of $126,210 recorded just weeks ago in early October. And it appears, according to Glassnode, that it is a large chunk of the selling in the ongoing Bitcoin crash is due to short-term holders. Data from Analytics Crypto Quant shares a similar perspective, noting that short-term selling often marks a local bottom if the price quickly reclaims the cost basis. And so this is what I was talking about earlier in terms of it potentially being a somewhat, not a positive sign, but a somewhat an indicator that you could draw a conclusion from, in that it often marks the local bottom. Now, failing to do so, if the price were to fail to reclaim the cost basis, failing to do so historically indicates a much deeper bearish trend or actually confirms a bear market. Crypto Quant wrote on X on Thursday. Now, there is not universal panic in the streets. There are many analysts who are still looking towards some major turnarounds even before the end of 2025, definitely going into January of 2026. Tom Lee, co-founder of Fund Straight Global Advisors and head of Ether Treasury Strategy at BitMine, has predicted that Bitcoin could rebound between 150 to 200,000 by the end of January 2026. This, in many ways, mirrors some of the recent crashes or the historical crashes in the crypto market. FTX and Terra Luna are two that in particular stick out. The worries here about why they are mimicking FTX and Terra Luna is that those were in large parts caused by not only just the collapse and a bunch of locked funds, but by a major liquidity crunch. And so there is a belief that we could be seeing a liquidity crunch inside of the cryptocurrency markets right now. Why we are seeing a liquidity crunch? Well, that's a great question. First people to go pointing fingers at the number one change up here would be the ETFs. We've seen a massive surge in exchange traded funds naturally over the past year or so. And really that would be, and that's where some folks are pointing fingers, saying that we're having liquidity issues across the market. And a lot of people are pointing towards the ETFs as being the culprit. Oh, Mary Jones, Zester, is that Tino on the kitty shelf? That is Mr. Tino. He's got his eyes closed. He's taking a nap in the sun. He is. All right, let's see what questions I missed. All right. Okay, Holistic 9605. How is the hacking actually done? Does the wallet need to be turned on for that to happen? Okay. Yes. And so Holistic. Sorry about that one. I was trying to find the original. And so Holistic. This is a great question. How are people getting hacked on their hardware wallets? And so Holistic, from what I have been seeing from folks, there are essentially two major ways. One, Holistic, is people bought from third-party sellers and it came with some type of malicious hardware installed upon it. That is absolutely a danger. That's why I do not recommend buying a hardware wallet from anywhere but the manufacturer. With Ledger, buy from Ledger. Don't buy on Amazon or Walmart or Best Buy. Buy from Ledger, and then you don't have near as much to worry about. It comes with tamper-proof on it. It does a security check the first time that you plug it in. You get immediate verification that it's good to go. It doesn't have anything weird on it. And so, yes, Holistic, that is a very real danger. It has happened to countless people that have bought from third-party sellers. But it is not the number one way that this is occurring, Holistic. The number one way that this is occurring is through social engineering. People are receiving calls. Hey, your Ledger funds are in danger. I'm here to help you. I work with Ledger. I'm here to help you. I'm going to help you save your Ledger funds before anything happens to your wallet. And then people in a panic start working with that scammer. And eventually the scammer walks away with all the money because it was never real. There was never a security flaw in the beginning. You never needed to move anything anywhere. And they got you. And that seems to be the vast majority of these different endeavors. That's how they're occurring. They're occurring through social engineering. There is not a hack going on. No one is hacking the hardware wallet. They're hacking the owner of the hardware wallet. They're tricking a human into it. It's social engineering. It's not the image you have of a hacker in a basement, pounding energy drinks and hammering away on 15 different screens. That's not how these scams are being done. They're being done by sending you an email that says, hey, someone's trying to sign into your Coinbase account. Call now in order to protect your funds. Hey, we just saw that there was a transfer out of your Ledger wallet. Did you do this? And then you, in a panic, you click in and you end up handing over information. So Holistic, that is really the biggest danger. The biggest thing to do to keep your stuff safe once you've got a hardware wallet is not to let anyone trick you into getting anything off of that hardware wallet. I've heard of other situations with different wallets and things of that nature, but with Ledger in particular, that is what keeps happening. It's not Ledger being hacked. It's the person who owns a Ledger being tricked. And it is extremely high level operations nowadays. They are working in teams. They have got absolute precision. They are timing these things up to cause you to be in a mental state where you will make mistakes. And so my absolute heart goes out, folks, to everyone that has gotten on, because they're extremely, extremely, extremely sophisticated nowadays. And that's why it's so important that whenever you receive calls or things of that nature, you get an email, a text message, something like that, don't fall for it. The only way to avoid it is to flat out ignore all of those messages and do your own due diligence on whether something's wrong or not. If Ledger sends you, hey, something is wrong with your account, call now. Don't call them. Go look on your Ledger Live and see if there's an actual problem. There probably isn't. And then you know to ignore that call. All right. But yes, Holistic, no, it is a huge, 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 huge pain out there nowadays. It is a huge pain in the butt. All right. Anakin, are we still looking for institutional adoption, Zester, for the market to recover? Or is it the wait on Trump and the bill being put into effect? Anakin, I think that in many ways, we're just going through a very, very typical market cycle. We saw massive growth. We saw all new all-time highs, one after another. We had a growth phase, which you typically see after a growth phase in any market, not just crypto, is you're going to see a contraction. We're going to grow, contract, grow, contract. And that's a healthy market. That's what we want to see. But what I do think, Anakin, is that typical normal market contraction is being massively accelerated or accentuated by leverage and by those different issues inside of the market. The market has got too much leverage inside of it. There are far too many dollars that are being thrown around in terms of shorts, extremely high leverage positions, and that in and of itself makes a normal market downturn into a far, far more extreme market downturn, because that leverage creates a snowball effect. What occurs is some people start selling, and then all of these people who had leveraged positions start to get liquidated. When they get liquidated, well, they are having a massive effect on the market because of their leveraged positions. When they get liquidated on their 10 Bitcoin gamble, the entire gamble gets liquidated onto the open market trading books. And so this causes a cascading effect. Once you've started this snowball down the mountain, on account of leverage, it's very, very hard to stop the snowball. It's just going to keep building up snow and keep building up power until it hits a point and it clears out all of the leverage. And we're pretty close to that now. Most all of the leverage in the market has been cleared out. At least all of the long leverage has been cleared out. Shorts, they're having a very, very good day today. And so, Anakin, I don't think that we necessarily have a specific target on this one in order to turn this market around. Ultimately, further institutional adoption is a good thing. And more guidance and more legislation from the administration is absolutely going to be seen as positive for the market growth in the long term. But in all honesty, Anakin, I think in terms of what we're looking at right now, this is really just a matter of stand back, look away. And I have a feeling that if you turn your head back in a month's time, this will have been a blip. Just a blip. Yes, Mary Jones. Yes. Tino and Tommy love their kitty shelf. Absolutely. Yep. Panic sellers, Anakin. NM Hiker, I invested with what I could afford to lose so that I would not be panicking or in a bad position. Going to try and hold. Absolutely, NM Hiker. That's the only way to safely participate in any investment market, whether it's crypto or the stock market or anything else. When it comes down to it, it can't be money that's needed to put food on the table, or you're going to be in that emotional state the entire time. And I learned this one years and years ago as a mantra. And I think that it's extremely, extremely true. As human beings, we essentially have two responses to pain. And when we feel pain, we fight or flight. We either run away and we stop the pain, or we respond to the pain. Essentially, we have two responses to pain. We're going to fight it, or we're going to run from it in order to make it stop. We're going to make it stop one way or the other, either through fighting or through running far enough away from it. In investing, this creates a very weird psychological reaction because you are feeling pain. You are looking at these numbers going down. It is a painful experience. But in an investment, this isn't like what our human instincts were built for. Our human instinct was built for that bear. That bear is roaring at you. Are you going to fight the bear, or are you going to run from the bear? Now, in that situation, our fight or flight response makes sense. Our human response in an investment situation, we only have essentially one thing to do. You can't fight. There is no fight. You cannot make that price go up. You can buy more, and in a way that kind of feels like you're fighting it. And you are, to a degree. You're trying to push the price back up. But in all honesty, you really can't fight. And that leaves you with only one thing to do. Whenever you're investing and you start to feel pain, this is a very, very normal thing for human beings to do. They sell, because that is the only response. They're feeling pain. They need to do something about it. How do I make the pain stop? I sell. And so, yeah, it's a very important one. And it's something that is important to remember in any investment field, is that we're not built as humans to be very good at this whole investment thing. We have some natural parts of our brain and our psychology that make it difficult. And so definitely, NM Hiker, it's so much better when you have put yourself in that position, because then you don't feel the pain the same way. It gives you a whole lot more clarity in the situation. What's up? Good morning, proud Arab American. No worries, no worries. Happy to have you, man. Happy to have you. All right. Mike Sue 12 Zester, how much do you keep on exchanges? Coinbase, Uphold, etc. 100, 500, 1,000. That's a good question, Mike Sue, because I know a lot of people, and myself included, I don't like to leave large amounts of dollars on exchanges. But I would say, Mike, on average, I have about $500 sitting on a couple exchanges. That would be on average. Mike, the alternate situation would be if I am preparing to make a purchase, to make a larger purchase, to maybe shift my portfolio around. If I'm preparing for that, I will start rotating funds over from Ledger to a Coinbase or to a centralized exchange. But that is temporary. I'm there to rotate funds. I'm there to reshuffle my portfolio. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to go right back to my Ledger. And so, Mike, the normal would be 500. And for me, that number for each person is essentially what amount of money are you okay with potentially not having access to if something were to happen with that exchange. With Coinbase, I don't worry that I'm going to lose my $500. I'm going to get my $500 back someday. And so I don't worry about it sitting there. What I do worry about is having more funds there and then potentially having them locked up because of something that's outside of my control and it putting me in a bad spot. So I try to keep it right around that level where it'll be okay. Surfer 44, I ignore and block all texts, phone calls, emails that my spirit deems suspicious. Let your spirit be your guide. Surfer, you've got to be conscious and critically thinking on it. Absolutely. And it is extremely difficult. They are running like extremely advanced level operations at this point in time. The people executing these scams are organized. They're well funded. They're large organizations. And so it is no joke. It is not easy to see through some of these scams that they're running right now at all. All right. Yeah. Pete Rose, 95.87. It looks like I should have sold half my XRP when it was 365 and bought that XRP back at today's prices, as cycles will always happen. Absolutely, Pete Rose. But do remember, hindsight is 2020. It's easy to look at it now and say, I should have sold it all. You know, it's easy to say, oh, I should have sold my whole bag. I'd have bought back in right now. I'd have pretty much doubled the amount of XRP that I own for the future. That's easy to see now. But there is one truth here, though, Pete, that I think everyone needs to remember. Whenever you do have large price increases, and this is in anything, take profits off the table. You're going to do far better off on average if you are taking that type of mentality. This is not investment advice, but it absolutely, in my situation, at least in terms of my experience, I have done far better when I have taken shaved profits off of my holdings. I'm not selling out. I'm planning on potentially buying back in, but I'm taking some of my profits off the table. It definitely is one of those situations, though, Pete. I always wish that I had sold more or that I had held more. You tend to be better off just taking your profits off the table every once in a while and holding through these type of downturns, at least in my personal opinion. All right. Yep. Surfer by the dip. All right. Hey, proud American Zester. I'm going to be babysitting my daughter's 2 6-month-old kittens for about 4 hours today. They're doing a major bug spray at their apartment. They have to be out for like 4 hours. I'm getting a little nervous because Marcus is going to go crazy. So I'm going to have to keep this evident. Oh, you're going to have a fun house today for 4 hours. Proud Air American. That's going to be fun. Yep, Anakin. Oh, yeah. I've been holding XRP for 5 years now. I'm used to it. You do. You get desensitized, in all honesty, to the markets. When you've been in crypto long enough, you get very much desensitized. I have gotten to the point where I see green and I get excited, and I see red and I don't really have an emotional response. That was not the case back in 2017, 2018, 2019. These type of drops had me sitting there staring at the charts all day long, worried that I had made a large mistake. But that's something that you're only going to learn with experience. There's no other way to go through that one and get to the point where you're not going to be as worried about it, besides just actually having dealt with it and seen everything recover. All right. Emerson Ranch Horses. Hello, Zester. Hello, Emerson. What is a good wallet for a newbie that is wanting to buy into XRP, XLM, Sol, and others? Do you have any recommendations for me on those cryptos and others to buy this day and weekend? Well, Emerson Ranch. And so for a place to buy, I highly recommend Coinbase. Coinbase is a publicly traded US-based company. They have XRP, XLM, Solana, and all those other cryptos. They have pretty low fees. That's where you're going to buy it, Emerson. In my opinion, you would buy it on Coinbase. And so that right there, I highly recommend you get one of those set up. In terms of a personal wallet, I would say in the description, go down to the link tree, and you will have a direct link to Ledger and a discount code in order to get some Bitcoin for making a purchase of a Ledger hardware wallet. If you're going to go for a hardware wallet, I recommend getting the Ledger and making certain that you get it directly from the factory. And of course, also get some free Bitcoin along the way. And so that would be my recommendations on those two parts of the question, Emerson. Coinbase to buy, Ledger to store. You do not need to, though, go out and immediately get a hardware wallet, Emerson. The hardware wallet is Fort Knox. It is your gun safe. The exchange, things like that, a typical software wallet, those are like a wallet. You're walking around cash. Your hardware wallet is your long-term, that's your nest egg, that's retirement. That is your Fort Knox. And so you don't need to worry about setting up Fort Knox, Emerson, until you have things to put into your Fort Knox. And so first step first, check out Coinbase. I think you'll be good to go on that one. Proud Arab American. They're wild. Zeus and Zulu. Oh, those are awesome names. Those are awesome, awesome names for the kitty cats. All right. Mile High Trish, when do you think the midnight mining thaw will start? It says coming soon, but ... Exactly. Mile High Trish, I know that they said that it was supposed to be right after the end of the scavenger mine phase. We were supposed to start seeing the thaw of the tokens that we had mined. And so I'm not certain, Trish. They claim that it's going to be soon, but with the scavenger mine and with the glacier drop, they did not announce dates. They pretty much put it out, the announcement, on the day that it went live. And so I'm not too surprised, Trish. I expect that it'll probably come out of nowhere, but they had talked about having another phase for more of the different tokens, but it seems to have been removed from the website. And so I'm not certain on that one, Mile High Trish. There was supposed to be a lost and found recovery phase that came after the scavenger mine, but the last time I looked at the webpage, I didn't see anything about the lost and found phase anymore. And so I don't know if that means they scrapped it. I don't know if I just checked on the website during an update or something. But I'm curious on that one as well, Trish. But I'm going to be double checking constantly to make certain that I start claiming as soon as possible. NM Hiker, I love green for my crypto and chili. Being a New Mexican, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely enjoy green charts more than red ones. All right, though, guys, I've got 2 more articles, and then I'll probably answer any questions that might have popped in, and then I'll go off and get ready for the weekend, try to get all of my work done today. I hope everyone has something exciting planned for the weekend that doesn't involve looking at crypto charts, because I've got a feeling it's not going to be a fun weekend to look at them. But moving on, because this one is interesting, despite what is currently going on right now. Well, there were some very, very high-profile individuals that made a recent appearance at a new Bitcoin bar that opened up in Washington, D.C. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent appeared at the opening night of the Bitcoin-themed bar and on Thursday. So just yesterday, Scott Bessent, unannounced appearance at the launch of Washington's new Bitcoin-themed bar, Pub Key. This was he included along the way other prominent Bitcoiners, Bitcoin analyst Fred Krueger, Gemini Chief of Staff Jeff Tiller, Bitcoin podcaster Natalie Brunel, Bitcoin Policy Institute co-founder David Sell, and of course Bessent himself, all showed up for the opening night of a Bitcoin-themed bar opening in Washington, D.C. Now, while you currently see the price of Bitcoin, continuing to fall, this news is not really getting all that much traction, but it's definitely an indication of where cryptocurrency is at in terms of the administration and really the process of going mainstream. You've got people from the federal government showing up to Bitcoin-themed bars on their opening night. Thought that one was just kind of a fun one, considering where the market was at. Have a feeling that those folks were definitely enjoying a few extra beers last night at the Bitcoin-themed bar in order to wash away some of the worries of the market. On, though, to the last one that I wanted to talk about today. BlackRock and Grayscale lead major ETF withdrawals, topping 900 million. And so as we are seeing the price of Bitcoin drop, we are seeing a fairly rampant withdrawal of funds from the BlackRock and Grayscale ETFs. Price of that ETF has plummeted in the recent days. I forget what percentage it is down by, but it is down quite precipitously. They've got the percentage somewhere here in the article, but I'm not seeing it at the moment. But a precipitous fall in the price of the ETF shares for BlackRock and Grayscale, $900 million being removed. And so we are seeing, and this is something that comes with institutional adoption. We are seeing that adoption come with some potential negatives when operations as large as BlackRock and Grayscale start selling. It's going to have a far larger effect on the overall market than if, say, Zester decides he's going to sell a little crypto. And so it appears as if ETFs and short-term investors seem to be very, very much driving the current real sales. The other factor, as we talked about, is just that the market is extremely over-leveraged, or at least it was. It's not now, because the vast majority of those people have been liquidated in the past 24 hours. And so we're going to get better numbers on that one. I have a feeling that we are going to see a historic number of liquidations that occurred once all the dust settles and we can actually start doing the blockchain forensics to see what the numbers were. But I have a feeling we are going to see a historic amount of liquidations have occurred in the past 24, 48 hours. And maybe continuing if we do not see a little bit of a rally. All right. Yes, Crazy Chester, there is a button on the main page to enter your email for updates for midnight. Yes, over on the midnight page, there is. Ah, yes. Surfer44, Zester. Tino is entertaining us in the background. I think he put up a peace sign behind your head. Tino is the man, and he loves his window hammock. And I need to get to my mail because I have another hammock that has arrived. And so there will be 2 hammocks up behind me very, very, very shortly. And so that the cats can stop fighting over the one. The thing is, I don't need a third one. Tina does not like it. I have not seen Tina on the cat hammock once yet. Even when I've tried to put her up there, she spends a couple minutes on it and then she jumps off. She just doesn't seem to be near as interested in watching everything going on outside as Tommy and Tino are. All right, though, guys, with all of that, I'm going to go ahead and run off, finish up the work day, and get to hopefully enjoying the weekend. Please, guys, do the same out there, everyone. Try to not spend too much time. If you're going to go in and you're going to buy the dip, go in, buy the dip, and then definitely hide notifications on the portfolio. Check back in on Sunday evening or on Monday. It does make it a lot easier on the nerves if you are experiencing any worries over the current market conditions. Me personally, I'm not selling anything. If the price gets down to 50,000 on Bitcoin, you're just going to see an ad up with Zester offering a kidney on the market to see if he can't buy more. And so I'm not worrying about it. I'm buying a little bit more myself, and I'm saving some more funds off to the side in terms of stable coins in case the market continues to fall even more, because I do think there is a chance. I'm kind of counting on getting a few even better discounts on a few cryptocurrencies over the weekend. But we will see. Any announcement that comes out positively from the Fed today will turn this thing right back around, and we will be right back above 90,000 on our way back to 100K in literally the blink of an eye. And so everything is still very much up in the air. Love you guys so much. Thank you all for joining. I will be back on Monday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be looking to see what all the weekend provided for us to dig into. Peace, guys.